Remember when we started the GeekWire Awards? We were a little more offbeat with it.
Yes.
I think we had like a failure of the year or something like that.
Yes, I think it might have been debacle of the year.
Yeah,
tech
it was
debacle of
it was
the
tech
year.
debacle of the year.
Somehow people didn't aspire to win that award.
Right. We had
And the winner of tech debacle of the year, come on
Yes,
stage. Hi, everybody. It's Todd Bishop from GeekWire coming to you this week from the GeekWire Awards, presented by Astound Business Solutions. We are here at the opening VIP reception for finalists, sponsored by Baird. And this week on the show, we are going to be talking with some of our finalists about what they're building and how they are incorporating AI into their work and lives. And in the final segment, I'll be bringing my colleague John Cook in for a special edition of the GeekWire Trivia Challenge. So stick around for all of that coming up this week on the GeekWire podcast. All right, I'm here with Luis Poggi. He is one of the finalists for CEO of the Year at the 2026 GeekWire Awards. He's with House Whisper AI, which offers conversational AI assistance for real estate agents, including follow-ups and scheduling, CRM updates. 24/7, you emerged from stealth with $10 million. You have more than 10 years at Zillow. You were the vice president of product and engineering, and you've been with Expedia. So, Luis, give us your elevator pitch. What are you doing, and how are you making an impact?
We are excited to be here. House Whisper helps real estate professionals to be more efficient and to actually convert more all of their clients and help them through the process of buying and selling. We're becoming an operating system for real estate professionals so they can actually help the buyers and sellers finding their dream homes.
That's great. What led you to this? Because obviously you had experience at Zillow and Expedia. Were there common threads in your work at those companies and what you saw as an engineering executive there that gave you this idea?
Totally. Seeing from inside Zillow how amazing Zillow works helping consumers, I saw an opportunity to go deeper and help the professionals even more to bring the customers to the final line. I strongly believe to buy and sell a home, you need a human. AI will not replace that part. However, AI can replace everything else, every step of the transaction. So we believe we can be that operating system that helps everything stitched together so you can help the consumer actually end up buying or selling a home.
So tell us how you're using AI in the product, in the platform, and just yourself personally day to day. Can you give us the state of AI implementation for you personally and professionally here in May 2026?
It's changing so fast that every month we change it. However, at the product level, everything we do is via voice or via text. So professionals, real estate agents, just chat with their assistant or just call their assistant, and then we do everything in the background through AI agents. So it's the core of our product. Everything is AI native. And then for our company, everything is through AI. So personally, I run every single meeting. It's run with a memory that I created from the past meetings, my thoughts. And at night, everything runs in my research factory. I have a Mac Mini that runs every night. And in the morning, I have a podcast created with everything that happened the last 24 hours. So when I'm driving from home to work, these are the things that I need to do, that I need to prepare. But I did it through podcast styles, which is the way I learn.
Are you doing that in your Mac Mini with off-the-shelf tools? Are you doing it with Claude Code? Like, how are you actually implementing that? And are you doing it? Is your team doing it? You've really piqued my curiosity here.
I am actually using it myself with Claude Code. Of course, sometimes I get stuck, so I ask a few questions to my engineers, but today the capabilities of these technologies are available for everyone. And if you're curious enough and you dedicate some time to bring those workflows into production, it's incredible what you can do today.
I can imagine, though, driving to work, some people would use that for decompression time to, brainstorm in their mind, but it seems like your brain is always on. Do you ever feel like, wait a second, I'm doing too much here, too much activation time on my brain?
That's a great question, a great comment. I first start praying for a few minutes, but then immediately my brain is thinking, what do I need to do today? So then I press the button that I have in my phone that brings the latest podcast of the things that I have to do this day.
You said you first what?
First, I pray a little bit.
You pray in the car a little bit.
That's the first step in my routine every day, praying. And if I'm driving my kids, I pray with my kids. And then I enter in work mode.
I didn't understand what you were saying at first, simply because it is such an unusual thing to hear at a tech event. That's wonderful. So that's your moment to collect yourself, to pray, to think, and then you jump into the AI.
Yes. Now, praying has been probably, as a CEO of a startup that is moving every day so fast, that helps me to be centered in my life. So that's a very important step in my day-to-day.
Amazing. Okay. All right. The last question for you. It is the 15th anniversary of GeekWire this year. We're marking that tonight at the GeekWire Awards. And one of the questions we're asking people is, what were you doing in 2011? And would you have imagined at that moment that you would be here doing what you're doing tonight with your company and in your life?
Wow. 2011, I was 1 year in this amazing city, Seattle. I moved from Argentina. And I would have never imagined 15 years later being here, building a company in this amazing community and being part of this ecosystem that has gave me so much. So, wow, 15 years incredible. I would have never imagined this today.
That's so great. Luis Poggi is CEO of House Whisper AI. He is one of our finalists this year for CEO of the Year. The category is sponsored by Wilson Sonsini. Luis, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me here.
In fact, as we announced during the awards ceremony later in the evening, Luis Poggi won the 2026 GeekWire Award for CEO of the Year. You can see our recap on GeekWire for all of the details and more on the winners of the 2026 GeekWire Awards. We'll talk with more finalists later in the show. Coming up next, the inspiring path taken by one of our 2026 STEM Educators of the Year.
All right, I'm here at the GeekWire Awards with Tracy Drinkwater. She is the founder of the Seattle Universal Math Museum. She's a former middle school, high school, and math teacher, and she is one of our honorees this year at the GeekWire Awards as STEM Educator of the Year. Congratulations, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
So tell us about the Seattle Universal Math Museum. Give us your elevator pitch for somebody who's never been there, because you just opened a physical facility, and what they can expect and what the idea is behind it.
Well, it's a very welcoming space. We bring math to life with full color, 3D, hands-on materials and books and things you can read about, things you can play with that don't involve numbers. You can do origami, you can do puzzles, fitting things together, and all of it will advance your understanding of math, about the physicality of it, the history of it, the cultural connections. Like origami is a great example that comes from Japan that we use as art, and we also use it in science, and so we really highlight all those connections. My goal with the museum was to allow people to have a different experience with math than school math, where they can feel smart because they get to choose what they're going to do and how long they're going to spend with it. And sometimes you may not solve something, but every mistake you make in trying to solve it, you will grow your brain and feel like you've done something that, and when you get that aha moment, there's nothing like that feeling. It's like why I became a teacher, is to see kids light up with that aha moment. And the cool thing about our space is that we're welcoming people from all ages, all backgrounds of math. They may already love math, they maybe have some anxiety about math, but they come into our space, they feel welcome, they feel like they can do something and learn something and enjoy themselves, and they leave wanting more. They want to come back. They want to bring their friends. We have kids actually sometimes cry because they don't want to go to something fun like soccer practice because they want to stay and play.
What was it that you saw in the classroom that made you see the need for this type of facility?
I saw kids who were continually distracted and maybe bored by the way that math is traditionally taught. I wanted to teach it in a unique and different way that would engage those learners who lack motivation, because that is the key ingredient to make progress in math, whether you're a special ed student, a regular student, or a gifted student, and I taught all of those. They need something more kinesthetic oftentimes something that will inspire them. And so I wanted to do more hands-on math, but I didn't have the resources of time or money to create things on my own. And so I thought one day while I was teaching middle school math that I wish there were a museum I could take my kids to. Every other subject has a field trip opportunity. Math does not. So someday I want to start a math museum that brings that kind of joy and exploration outside the classroom, but also inside the classroom, maybe kits that we could borrow. So we're doing all these things now that we have a space. We can offer field trips. We also go into schools and offer in-school field trips where we bring our math materials, coach teachers and students how to engage with math in a different way. And it really lights people up. We also do after-school programs, math nights, and train teachers and offer them kits.
One of the things that we do every year at the GeekWire Awards for this podcast is we check in with folks on how they're using AI, and then we've been comparing it over the years. Like we saw the rise of generative AI, and then we, of course, have seen the rise of agents. So Tracy, I'm wondering, how are you seeing AI play out in your daily life and work, if at all?
So it's funny you should ask. We talk about, while everyone else is investing in artificial intelligence, that we're investing in human intelligence because we know that the inputs are really important in AI. And if we don't have critical thinkers, people who understand the questions to ask and in what way, we won't get the outputs from AI that we want, or they won't be accurate. Somebody needs to be able to analyze an output from AI as to whether it's even relevant or accurate when it comes to mathematical problem solving. We still need that critical thinking. And so we're going to try to promote that alongside of the AI. But I also use it sometimes to help me write marketing materials. I tried it out for a speech. I said, write me a speech. And I was actually really impressed because I put in our name, Seattle Universal Math Museum, into the speech, or into the prompt. It gave me back all this stuff that I have said or our team has said because it researched from our website. So it told me that it did a really good job when the source material is accurate and good in what I want to say. But we need to make sure that we're able to analyze what those outputs are. And that's so the human side of it, the human intelligence is still really important. And we want to emphasize that.
All right, so GeekWire turns 15 this year, and we're marking the 15th anniversary here at the GeekWire Awards this year. What were you doing in 2011, and could you have imagined that you'd be here tonight doing what you're doing, receiving an honor as STEM Educator of the Year?
I would have been shocked. 2011 was right before I came up with this idea. It was about 2013 when I thought of the idea to start a math museum. So I was a teacher working really hard. I was a single mom. I was just trying to get my job done and raise my kids. I would not have believed anyone who told me that I would be here receiving an award. And well, actually, now that I think about it, if it were for STEM educator, I still would have been surprised because I was one math and special ed teacher among thousands of people doing amazing work all over this region and this country. Teachers work really hard, and they all deserve to be an Educator of the Year, honestly.
Well, but look at that, though. You wouldn't have imagined it, but you followed your passion specifically, and here it led you right here.
Yeah, I mean, I really broadened what it meant to be an educator. I left teaching and did a lot of other things in the education space, from tutoring to teaching at Seattle University, where I got my master's in teaching, supervising student teachers. I was a school board director for Mercer Island, where I live. I just kept looking into all the different ways I could support education, especially math education, for a broad audience, not just the best and brightest, because we have such creative minds out there that are struggling with math, and math is a gateway subject to get to STEM careers, of which we have so many in the Seattle region, that I really felt this inspiration and drive to help make math education better than it has been. But I had to step outside the classroom to do it. But now we go back and we work alongside of the schools in order to promote math education for kids and make it more meaningful and connected to everyday lives.
All right, Tracy Drinkwater is one of our STEM Educators of the Year here at the 2026 GeekWire Awards. She's the founder of the Seattle Universal Math Museum. Do you pronounce it SUM?
Yes, we do. We love to use some, and we make a lot of math puns with that. So we say it's totally awesome. And we have our Some Place, which is our office space, and we have Some Station or Summation as our new exhibit space. So we love to use that. Everybody is somebody who can do math.
Well, that's great. I will link from the show notes to the story that my colleague Lisa Stifler wrote about you and the museum so that anybody who wants to check it out can find out the details. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this honor.
We'll be right back with more from the GeekWire Awards.
All right, I am here with Ross Finman. He is the CEO of Augmoto, which is working on AI for the physical workforce. And Augmoto is one of the finalists for Hardware, Robotics, Physical AI of the Year. Ross, I was telling the team earlier, I want to rename this category Machines of the Future. I think that would roll off the tongue a lot easier. But congratulations on being a finalist in this category.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I would say with the machines of the future, like there's a lot of robotics work, but I actually view a lot of the future is going to be augmenting the workforce, and how do you have AI and people interacting in the real world on there, because robots are good at some things, humans are good at others, and if you can have an AI assistant that can help you with both, you can kind of have the best of both worlds, and that's where I view a lot of the adoption is going to move the fastest.
All right, so this is a wearable smart badge. You're starting off in retail, as I understand it, but you have ambitions to apply this to the larger workforce, physical AI. How does this badge work in the context of retail, just as an example?
So very simply, it's just like a name badge that you wear. Your ID badge can fit into it directly, and it just has two 4K cameras at the top of it. So they just start their shift, put on their name badge as they do today, just this one's camera enabled, and then it's just recording as they're going through. So tracking inventory tasks, if there's any like issues, say there's a spill on aisle 4, but answering questions is a product on the shelf? Yes or no? Is it at the right location? Is it at the right price? Like doing that all with zero extra work. So it's 100% passive. That is very easy for them to do. The challenge is how do you handle all the data problems associated with it? Because if you're putting dual 4K cameras on the largest forecourse on the planet in retail, you have a massive amount of data, and that's where the core of our technology comes in.
So at what stage of the process are you in? How far out is the rollout? And give us a sense for that.
So already with our first customers, then we've already gone through the pilot, gone to a full rollout contract, and we're adding on like up to 100 stores a month right now. And then we're already expanding into other major retailers. Unfortunately, can't announce those yet, but we'll let GeekWire know when we do. And then getting into those this year. So we're a Series A company. We did a $37 million round last year and scaled out the team tremendously last year, and now solving a lot of the technical problems that we need to get up into the scale. So right at that inflection point.
How are you seeing AI play out in your work, your day-to-day as a leader? Are you incorporating it into your workflows and how you're interacting with your teams or getting things done as a CEO?
Yeah, so I have like multiple different Gemini deep research reports going at different times. Claude Design is actually being very interesting in terms of, hey, you can really prototype a lot of these systems. 18 months ago, I was like, yeah, kind of helpful, not really. And then now it's like, okay, this is actually showing direct ROI. So I find it for AI org design, having someone to like negotiate with. Okay, argue about this with me from a devil advocate perspective. From this perspective, what about functional organizations? How would like Jeff Bezos argue with me on there? And then having these personas, it's a lot more interactive, and I find it's a more natural way for me to engage with it. Plus, having the deep research reports, the prototype examples, we can say, hey, make this. The communication can be a lot faster on there.
All right, last question. It's the 15th anniversary of GeekWire this year, and we're doing a little bit tonight to mark that occasion. But the question we're asking people on the podcast is, what were you doing in 2011, if you can remember? And would you have imagined yourself being here tonight in the role that you're in, doing what you're doing in your life and work?
So in 2011, I was just starting my PhD at MIT, and I really was on the path of, I thought I'd be on the professorship path. I love teaching. I knew I'd be at the cutting edge of technology, and I guess just So I got dragged kicking and screaming into the business world, and I thought it might be building more of this stuff rather than working with the people and clearing out everything for them to be building it. But I still can't help myself, and I still I spend some of my nights and weekends when my kids aren't grabbing my leg and tearing me down. They're 2 and 4 years old. I still like to build on the side.
That's awesome. Well, Ross Finman, the CEO of Augmoto, thank you very much, and congratulations on being a finalist in the category of Hardware, Robotics, and Physical AI of the Year.
Thank you so much.
Let's just wing it, Laura, as John would say. All right, this is an annual tradition. My next guest does not happen to be a finalist in this year's awards, but she is a fixture in the technology community. Laura Ruderman of the Technology Alliance, better known as the Tech Alliance. Laura, you've always made such a great impression on this specific episode of the podcast. How are things going for you?
You know, things are really great. We have 2 amazing events coming up. On May 19th, we are having our annual luncheon, which you are a fixture at. And I'm very excited that we are featuring 2 vice presidents from Amazon Leo. We don't hear from them a lot, right? So they're going to have some interesting stuff to tell us and videos to show us. And then on June 3rd, we're doing our Seattle Investor Summit Plus Showcase. And we've got keynote speeches by Vijay Raji, the CTO of OpenAI, and Jamie Tivan, chief scientist at Microsoft, and our VC panel with Tim Porter and Yi Fan from AI House, and lots of other incredible folks. So I am sprinting a marathon right now and very excited about everything that's happening.
Laura, we've been asking this question in a variety of forums at the awards over the past few years, and the answers keep changing. How are you using AI in your day-to-day?
So I now refer to my new BFF, Claude. We just got a full license for Copilot. So I think I'm going to have to name my Copilot and have a new BFF or have different. I think honestly what's going to happen, and I think a lot of people are finding this, is that different models are good for different things. But we're a very small team, and we needed to have a content marketing calendar. What were we going to put up on LinkedIn every day? How was it going to sync with all of the different events that we do, our Insights and Hindsights happy hour, our Discovery Series, our Investor Summit, our luncheon? And we'd been really struggling with how to do this. And I gave it to Claude, and it took some time. I think there is a myth that you give a problem to AI, and then it spits something back in 5 minutes, and then you're done. But 3 hours later, I had a daily marketing calendar that brought me through the middle of June, which is the end of our event season. And I go and tweak it every so often as things happen, but that has been that was a game changer. Personally, I am a woman of a certain age and struggling, as many of your listeners who are women of a certain age are, with I'm supposed to get this, macros and steps and weights and whatever. And at about 2:00, I've tracked what I've eaten, and I don't know what the heck I'm going to have for dinner. And Claude tells me. Claude says, here's what I know you like. Here's what you've got left. And sometimes that means, like the other day, I ended up eating a salad that was a can of chickpeas, a can of tuna, and a little bit of mayonnaise with some lettuce thrown in. But hey, I got in all my protein, under my fat count, with my carbs. And that's also been a game changer in my personal life, because how many memes are there about the fact that the hardest part of adulting is having to try to figure out what to make for dinner every damn night. And then you layer in on top of it, it's got to have the right amount of fat and calories and carbohydrates and whatever. So those are two of the ways that it's making a difference for me in both my personal and professional life.
Laura, there's been a lot of talk and debate recently about whether Seattle and Washington State are doing enough to keep the innovation economy here healthy. From where you sit, what's your read on the health of the Pacific Northwest tech community?
So when people ask me what the Technology Alliance does, I say that we are a business-oriented nonprofit whose mission is to support the innovation economy of Washington State. So I feel actually qualified to answer this, have an opinion on this question. You know, I think that we know the ingredients of a strong innovation economy. It's the presence of a skilled and adaptable workforce, abundant research capacity, and a strong entrepreneurial climate. And we've got challenges in each of those areas right now that are different and that are completely separate from the tax issue. I think the tax issue is a thing to talk about, but so is the fact that for the last 20 years, 8 years after graduation, less than 50% of Washington State kids have any sort of post-secondary credential. Now, for 20 years, we've been able to band-aid over that with domestic and international migration. And for various reasons, some of which are under the state's control and some of which are not, that is falling off a cliff. So that is something we have to start paying attention to. And I think a big part of that is we are a state that has historically looked at inputs. Look at how much we're spending on education, homelessness, mental health care, name your favorite thing. But we don't stop to say, what are the outcomes on the other side? I am old enough to remember 30 years ago when we had what may or may not have been our first 10-year plan to end homelessness. And so we really have to stop arguing about tactics and start talking about what are the outcomes that we want. Are we getting those outcomes? And in most cases, I would argue, and I swear to God I'm still a Democrat, that getting those outcomes is not just about more money, because we have been trying that for a while. With research capacity, when you look at public research dollars that come into our state, go look at our last benchmarking report. We are low on the list relative to our peer states. Yeah, the U is phenomenal, but a lot of states don't just have, we have the number one publicly funded research institution, but a lot of states have like numbers 4, 5, and 8, which ends up being more than number one. So again, and then in entrepreneurial climate, the VC landscape right now, there are people out there who know far more about it than I do, but there's a number of issues going on, I think, all over the country, some of which are exacerbated by the fact that Seattle is close to nothing. We are this strange little outpost in the Pacific Northwest, and there is no easy front door. That's what we're trying to do, shameless plug, with our Seattle Investor Summit.
How many events can you plug in this podcast? We need just like a little bell every time you do it. Okay, keep going, Laura. The Seattle Investor Summit is when?
June 3rd. I love it. I was listening to Soundside on KUOW the other day, and apparently they have a bell that they ring every time someone mentions the book Abundance.
Okay, great. Now you're plugging another podcast. I'm kidding. All right, that's Laura Ruderman, CEO of the Technology Alliance. We will be filling the show notes with links to everything they've got coming up. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you. And in all honesty, thank GeekWire for your support. We really feel like GeekWire is an incredible partner to our work. So thank you.
Thanks, Laura. All right, I am here with Ryan James. He is the CEO of Doppel Technologies, which is one of the finalists for Startup of the Year at the 2026 GeekWire Awards. And Ryan, do I have this right? It is remote robotic ultrasounds. How does that work exactly? What is Doppel? Give us your elevator pitch.
Thank you. Our mission is on-demand specialty care everywhere. And so imagine a robotic arm in a rural hospital that's holding an ultrasound probe, and a remote ultrasound technician can control that robot to scan patients in those areas. And usually those areas can't hire a sonographer because they don't live or work there. And so now we can provide access to care to anyone, anywhere, and we're initially focused on underserved communities.
That's so cool. So this company started at the University of Washington in 2017.
I met my co-founders in 2017, and we started Doppel in 2022 based on some of the work that we have done earlier.
And you're number 193 on the GeekWire 200, if I counted right. And you just recently raised a $1.5 million pre-seed round, so you've got a little traction financially as well.
We do. We're actually closing on a $6 million round right now. And so I'm really excited about how that's going to accelerate our progress pretty soon.
Nice. Little scoop here. Maybe we should be writing about that on GeekWire. That's very cool. All right. So give me a sense for how you're using AI in your company, how it's playing out in your day-to-day life as a CEO. Things are changing so much that it's a question we've asked over the years here at this podcast, at this event. Can you give me a sense for AI in your life and work today?
Oh yeah, I mean, AI is changing everything. We use AI for development, for research, pretty much in every aspect of what we do. And then with our product, we're collecting a tremendous amount of data from every ultrasound exam that we perform. And over time, we'll offer semi-autonomous and then eventually fully autonomous ultrasounds just to increase access to care, particularly in communities and even countries that don't have an ultrasound technician at all.
Tell me more about your background and how you and your co-founders decided on this as the problem to tackle. Because when you describe it, I get it. It makes tons of sense. But it's not something that somebody coming to the industry cold might have come up with on their own. How did you come up with this particular challenge?
Yeah, for me, both of my parents are physicians and had a really important and deep impact in the community I grew up in. So, improving access to care in underserved communities is a legacy for me. And when I met Dr. Sessler and Dr. Monsky, my two co-founders at the University of Washington, they're super well-trained, highly trained specialists who patients travel really long distances to come get their care. And I had the technical chops to build a system that extended their reach. And so they were passionate about the same thing. We got together and realized we could really do something special. And so that's how Doppel was formed.
What's the long term look like for you and the company? Obviously, you just raised a round, or you're raising a round now. Where does that take you, and where do you see yourself in a couple years?
Yeah, the long term is to build a platform that enables any procedure or exam to be performed, not just ultrasound, and to be global. We want to help the 5 billion people that don't have access to care today have access to the exams, the diagnostic exams, and interventional procedures that they need to stay healthy.
It's very cool. All right, so last question. This is the 15th year for GeekWire, and we're marking that occasion here at the GeekWire Awards tonight. So one of our questions for everybody is, what were you doing in 2011, and could you have imagined yourself being here tonight in the role and at the stage of your life that you're in right now?
That's a great question. 2011, I was working at Microsoft, learning an incredible amount. I couldn't have imagined being here. I'm elated to be here. What a wonderful event. And I'm looking forward to meeting more great people and like yourself and learning more about what people are doing in this ecosystem.
That's awesome. Ryan James is the CEO of Doppel Technologies. Ryan, let's follow up on email about that round.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a pleasure, and congratulations on being one of the finalists for Startup of the Year.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, I am here with Mohammed Rastagari. He is the CEO of Elastics AI. It is one of the finalists for Startup of the Year in the GeekWire Awards here in 2026. So, Mohammed, my understanding is that Elastics is an AI inference platform. It makes running LLMs faster and cheaper and more flexible across the edge in the cloud. Am I getting that right?
Correct. Yeah, at Elastics, actually, we are differentiating ourselves in terms of providing the most cost-efficient AI inference by doing a true co-designing of hardware, software, and ML. So what's happening in the field of AI these days is that, people has to wait for a new generation of the hardware these days, like NVIDIA GPUs. And then they have to develop software with the limitation of the hardware to be NVIDIA. But at Elastic, we are changing the game. We are actually bending hardware to be adapted to the AI compute itself. So we're using a different notion of hardware, a reconfigurable hardware known as FPGAs, that we enable them to become a supercomputer for AI in a way that we actually program in the transistor level to build or bend the hardware to be adapted for the AI compute, so that we can enable all the most new ML optimization on the fly without the need of building a new silicon. And rather than waiting for years to build new silicon, we can enable them immediately within days or weeks and be always on top of the game when it comes to the cost efficiency and optimization in AI.
FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. Is your innovation in the hardware or in the software? Where does your innovation come?
We are a software company, and what we're doing is that we're actually building the software on top of FPGAs, but the software is very deep into the hardware. The software itself actually defines the hardware at the same time while having like the very deep implementation of the ML model directly into the hardware. So it's really as if that you build a custom silicon for this specific ML model, but without actually building it, just program the FPGA.
Now, your founding team is very interesting. All three of you, if I understand correctly, were involved with XNOR, which was the AI startup that came out of the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence and was acquired by Apple back in 2020. Do I have that right?
Correct, yeah. We were so lucky that we were being at the era that we had a similar problem back then when the deep learning showed up, and we wanted to optimize models to be like more efficient on the edge devices like phones. So we were basically enabling at XNOR all the edge devices compute the AI model for them. Like today you see object detection in your home security cameras, and that was all enabled by us. And later after that, when we got acquired by Apple, we were lucky enough to be in those companies like Apple and Meta, and we often were in the position that we were building larger scale ML inference or deploying them, and so that enables that basically led us to starting Elastic AI.
So if you achieve your long-term vision for Elastic AI, how will the industry or the world be different?
Yeah, so what we are seeing itself in a way that when we have to be in a world with the AI inference, that AI agents these days are responsible for generating token in an autonomous way. And what's the main prohibitive factor there is the cost of generating many tokens. And with Elastic AI, we want to accelerate the economy of these agents so that they can generate tokens in order of magnitudes. And then also we have an infrastructure for AI inference that can evolve by AI itself. Like right now you can imagine that companies are spending billions of dollars on AI infrastructures, but then within years they have to demolish all of it and change to a new hardware because they want to adapt to the new AI model. We want to change that game. We want to build infrastructures that they can adapt themselves to the new evolution of the AI.
Very cool. Two more questions. One, how are you using AI in your own day-to-day work as a CEO here in May 2026?
Yeah, as you may know, AI is penetrating in every aspect of our life. Definitely in anything that we are developing, we are using AI. And even these days, for our strategic, modeling and everything, AI is helping us a lot. We were saying that, without AI, we would be 10x more slower than where we are today. Yeah.
All right. This is the 15th anniversary of GeekWire this year, and we're marking that in part here tonight at the awards by looking back at some of the winners and some of the moments over the past 15 years. I want to ask you, what were you doing in 2011? And could you have imagined yourself being here at this event, doing what you're doing in your work and life today?
That's great. 2011, I was still a PhD student. I was, I think, second year of my PhD student. I was working on machine learning and computer vision. Honestly, no, I was not seeing myself at this position, and I'm so glad and grateful being here. It's an honor being here for the second time. And back then, when we did XNOR, we win the award with GeekWires. So, and this is the second time being here, and it's just great to be here. It feels good, yeah.
Well, it's great to have you back. Mohammad Rastagari is the CEO of Elastic AI, one of the finalists for Startup of the Year in the 2026 GeekWire Awards. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The awards are about to begin. We're going to sit down for dinner and then present the 2026 GeekWire Awards. You can look on GeekWire for the full recap, see who all the winners were, and check that in the show notes as well. We will be back in the next segment with our GeekWire Trivia Challenge.
Pop quiz, hotshot. This is GeekWire's Trivia Challenge.
Wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess?
All right, John, it is time for the GeekWire Trivia Challenge. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. This week coming from the green room of the Showbox Sodo in Seattle.
That's right. I pulled you aside before the big event begins, the GeekWire Awards, because we can't have a podcast with the two of us these days without having the GeekWire Trivia Challenge.
I love that you're so committed to it.
All right. So this week's Trivia Challenge, as you would expect, is connected to the GeekWire Awards,
Oh,
John.
no.
And
the last time we had a GeekWire trivia question, I totally bombed.
Yes. Well, we'll see. I've got multiple choice. Going back to multiple choice here to make it a little bit easier on you and the rest of the audience. So this is a big one, John. The question is, which company has won the most GeekWire Awards of all time? Of all time. And I have to share, I used AI on this. I took all of the recaps. I fact-checked it with Claude Cowork, with Claude, with Gemini, and I'm going to give you 5 potential answers.
I think I know it off the top of my head, but I want to hear the answers.
Okay.
I did know this at one point.
You
so
did?
I think I
Okay.
should be able to get it from the multiple choice.
Okay. So which company has won the most GeekWire Awards of all time? And we're talking going back to 2012, 2013. Originally, when we hosted these awards, we called them the Seattle 2.0 Awards still, because it was that continuity from the prior version of the awards, which we absorbed when we started GeekWire from Marcelo Calbucci, who started them when he was running the site Seattle 2.0.
And we should give a shout out to Marcelo with a big event coming up, Seattle Flow.
Seattle Flow Startup Day coming up on May 15th. I'm actually going to be doing an interview there on stage. So
Come check it out.
Check it out. I'll link to that from the show notes. Okay. Which company has won the most GeekWire Awards of all time? A, Rover. B, Convoy. C, Microsoft. D, Tableau. Or E, Remitly. Once again, before you give your answer, you got it. Okay, once again, before you give your answer, it's A, Rover. B, Convoy. C, Microsoft. D, Tableau. Or E, Remitly.
They've all won
Yes.
GeekWire Awards. At
Yes.
least one.
Yes.
At
and
least one, and in many cases, more than one.
So I picked, and actually these 5 are the ones that have won the most awards. So
Yes.
this is very
Yes.
difficult.
I am pretty confident on this.
Yes.
I'm betting the farm on rover.com.
Oh, you're wrong.
No way!
You're wrong.
Oh, I thought for sure it was Rover.
No.
I'm checking the AI. I think you're wrong. Oh, really?
I'm pretty confident in this because I actually had to enumerate them. I know which categories they won in which years.
Well, I know Rover won Young Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm pretty sure they won Deal of the Year.
Okay, Rover won Startup of the Year in 2014.
Yeah.
CEO of the Year, Aaron Easterly in
Yes.
2016. Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2018,
Yeah.
co-founder Phil Kimmey. And 2019,
Deal of the Year.
Next Tech Titan.
Oh, Next Tech Titan.
So that was their 4.
4. There's somebody that has
Won
5?
5. Yes, in fact.
Okay, it's not Microsoft.
It is Microsoft. It
No
is Microsoft.
way.
Yes. Would
That-
you have ever guessed that?
I don't think that's right.
Okay, Microsoft's 5 wins.
Okay.
And I will fact check this before we go on air with this.
Okay.
2012 Innovation of the Year.
For what?
Connect for Windows.
Connect for Windows. Wow.
Yes, I think that's right. I remember
Okay.
that. 2013 Game of the Year. Halo 4.
I forgot we had a Game of the Year category.
343
we
Industries.
Did. We used to have a
343
Game of the Year
Industries.
category. Yeah.
2016 Hardware Gadget of the Year. 2016, sort of a trivia question in the trivia question here.
What was
the Hardware Gadget of the Year in 2016?
What would that have been?
Surface Book.
Surface
Book.
Yeah.
2017 Innovation of the Year. I actually don't remember what this is, which speaks. This is
well, let's fact check that one.
Project Catapult. I actually don't know what that is or what it became. I'm going to need to look that up.
Okay.
Okay, get this. It's Todd jumping in after the fact. Microsoft's Project Catapult was a pioneering project in field programmable gate arrays, or FPGAs, chips that can be reprogrammed on the fly to best serve whatever computing task is at hand. Do you remember the technology that Mohammad Rastagari from Elastic's AI was talking about earlier as it related to making hardware more adaptable to LLMs? That builds on this earlier work in the field. And get this, Andrew Putnam from Microsoft, who co-founded Project Catapult and accepted the award on stage in 2017, was at this year's GeekWire Awards, unbeknownst to us. And John and I randomly met him afterward at the bar across the street. When he told us who he was, we couldn't believe the coincidence. And, I wish I had thought to record with him. He told us a funny story about accidentally taking the GeekWire Awards trophy to Italy in his backpack the next day. And he showed us a photo that he took of the Geeky, as we call it, in Siena, Italy back then. You can check out the podcast post on GeekWire to see it. Bottom line, what a small world and just a series of interesting coincidences.
And the 2025 Innovation of the Year, the Majorana 1 quantum processor.
I didn't know that one. I thought that was maybe the only one.
So Microsoft's 5 wins all came in product categories, never like culture or leadership, never CEO of the Year, because the CEO of the Year obviously is meant more for startups. Spanning a 13-year run from the Kinect to the Majorana.
This really surprises me.
Remitly was the most well-rounded, winning 4 categories across 4 different years. I can give you all of them. Tableau, 2012 Next Tech Titan. The most interesting one, in fact, though, was Convoy. They won 3 years in a row, 2017 through 2019. Startup of the Year, then Next Tech Titan, then Deal of the Year. Kind of the classic GeekWire ascent. And then fall.
And then what?
Because Convoy later went out of business.
Remember when we started the GeekWire Awards, we were a little more offbeat with it.
Yes.
I think we had like a failure of the year or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yes. I think it might have been Debacle of the Year.
Yeah,
Tech
it was
Debacle of the Year.
Tech Debacle of the Year.
Somehow people didn't aspire to win that award.
Right. We had
and the winner of Tech Debacle of the Year, come on stage. Right. It was more fun, but perhaps less sellable to the sponsor.
I do recall we also had didn't we have a coffee shop of the year? Like Hangout.
Yes,
we had a coffee shop Hangout of the year at one point.
We ought to introduce one more quirky category next year.
Well, we should ask the audience. What quirky category would be great?
So I'm going to go back and fact check this. If you're hearing this,
I am shocked it's Microsoft.
Well, if you think about it, though,
I really thought it was Rover because I knew they had a lot of wins. They did a lot of key categories.
Yeah, lots of them. The 3-win club includes Convoy, Zulily, Avalara, Fred Hutch, and the University of Washington had 4 wins over the years, depending on how you count it. 2016 Innovation of the Year, 3D face reconstruction.
Well, they are a winner in 2026. I guess I can say that now. Oh, they're an honoree.
They're an honoree.
Yeah, so we already. Hopefully, I didn't disclose anything for Geeks Give Back for the Center for an Informed Public.
Well, that's already been reported on the site.
That's right.
So
correct.
2017 Geek of the Year at Lazowska. 2021 Innovation of the Year for tracking sensors, and then you could arguably say UW has a 4th win. That was the Geek of the Year for Oren Etzioni in 2013. He was honored while he was both a UW computer science professor and at the time CEO of the Allen Institute for AI. So there you go.
And we got to give a shout out to Remitly and Matt Oppenheimer, the chairman of Remitly, who came back and presented the Deal of the Year category this year.
That's right. All right. Fun GeekWire Trivia
I can't
challenge.
believe I missed that one. That seemed like tricky. A softball.
It was tricky.
I can't believe it was Microsoft. Wow. All right.
All right. Thanks to everybody out there for listening. Thanks to all the honorees and finalists who spoke with me on this episode. Thanks to our title sponsor, Astound Business Solutions, been with us for many years. A big thanks to them. And thank you, John, for joining me.
Glad to be here, Todd.
Until next time, I'm GeekWire co-founder Todd Bishop.
And I'm GeekWire co-founder John Cook.
We'll be back next week with a new episode of the GeekWire podcast.